Imagine stepping onto a world so still you could hear your own blood, a world where even the wind refused to blow. We thought it was paradise, but the silence wasn't emptiness, it was hunting us. Before we begin, if you love stories of survival, of humanity facing the unknown and refusing to bow, then make sure to hit like and subscribe. It keeps these stories alive. Let's step onto the quiet planet. We found it on the far edge of mapped space, a jewel among barren stars. A planet covered in green forests, rolling valleys, crystalline rivers. From orbit, it looked like Eden, unscarred, untouched, waiting. We called it Eos, the dawn world, and humanity needed a dawn. Our colony fleets were stretched thin, half-starved, wandering after the last wars. When Eos appeared on our charts, the debates ended. We had to claim it. When the first survey team descended, they expected the usual: storms, predators, some alien ecosystem to study and avoid. But from the moment they stepped onto the soil, something felt wrong. It wasn't danger. It was absence. The forests swayed with no wind. Rivers flowed without a murmur. Leaves shifted soundlessly when touched. No birds, no insects, no calls in the night. One scientist said later, "It was like standing in a painting, beautiful, but dead." But it wasn't dead. We established a camp. Weeks passed. The planet fed us. Crops thrived in its soil. No predators emerged from the trees. It was paradise, or so we believed. Until the first laugh. It was a child. Colonists brought families, as they always did, believing in roots and futures. One boy slipped, fell into a shallow stream, soaked and muddy. His laughter rang out through the air. That was when the silence ended. The trees shifted. The ground trembled. Shadows that weren't shadows rippled at the edge of sight. Something stirred, vast and patient, like the planet itself had been waiting. The boy never screamed. They said something pulled him under the water, but no one saw what, only ripples closing too fast as if the stream swallowed him whole. The colony went silent after that, not just out of grief, but instinct. No one dared make a sound louder than a whisper. We learned too late. Silence wasn't natural here. It was enforced. Every sound was an invitation. Every laugh, every shout, every cry. A signal that something ancient, something predatory would hear you. And it would come. We tried to measure it, tried to fight it. The scientists brought seismic scanners, drones, recorders. The drones didn't return. The recorders caught nothing, just static, as if the planet itself erased sound. And yet, if you listened closely, you could sometimes hear breathing, not in your ears, in your bones, in the way the ground seemed to pulse faintly beneath your feet. Some colonists said the planet wasn't alive, not exactly. It was listening. A consciousness diffused through soil and root and stone, an ancient awareness, hungry for sound, the way a predator hungers for movement. We stopped building, stopped singing, stopped speaking. For weeks, the colony lived in whispers, terrified of its own existence. But fear has a way of breaking. It was during the harvest. A group of workers, desperate for release, began humming softly as they gathered crops. Perhaps they thought it wouldn't matter. Perhaps they thought the quiet planet had grown bored. The hum rose, a tune formed, and then the ground split. Roots erupted like whips, coiling, dragging men screaming into the soil. Those who fled didn't make it far. The trees moved impossibly fast, snapping shut like jaws. Silence returned, absolute and merciless. From then on, we knew the truth. Eos wasn't paradise. It was a trap, a hunting ground disguised as a garden. And now we were prey. Command debated evacuation. But the ships were few, supplies scarce, and Earth so far behind us. To leave meant death in the void. To stay meant death on the ground. So we did what humans always do. We adapted. The colony became a library of silence. We walked in bare feet. We built without hammers. Children were taught hand signs before words. Even grief had to be swallowed, tears shed silently into pillows. And somehow, we endured. For months, maybe years, we endured. But endurance isn't the same as living. One evening, under the blood-red sunset, a young woman named Mara stood on the cliffs above the valley. She had lost her brother to the first harvest, lost her parents to silence, and she was tired of being afraid. So she sang. A single note at first. Pure, trembling, defiant. The colony froze. Faces turned white. Hands reached to stop her, but it was too late. The air shuddered. The earth roared, and from the valley below, shadows rose like a tide, black, fluid, countless. The quiet planet had heard, and it was coming. The evacuation was chaos. Ships overloaded, engines straining. People trampled in their desperation, yet not a scream escaped their lips. Fear had trained us too well. Mara kept singing. They said her voice carried even as the shadows closed around her, even as roots coiled her body in silence. Her song bought us minutes. Minutes were enough. Half the colony escaped that night. Half remained behind, swallowed by the quiet planet. And those who fled carried her story. They carried the truth. Eos was never meant for us. Some worlds were not gifts to claim, some were traps, patient and eternal. But they also carried something else. Because Mara's song, brief, doomed, defiant, proved something even darker than silence. That even in a world built to erase us, humanity would leave an echo. An echo that the planet itself could not consume. If you were standing there, would you have stayed silent or sung? That's the story of the quiet planet, a place where silence was life, but one human's voice became immortal. If this story gripped you, hit like and subscribe, because more tales of survival, defiance, and humanity's place in the stars are coming. And tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I want to see how far the echoes of these stories travel. Until next time, stay loud, stay human,